Hello there. Welcome to the Kirk Minahan wrap-up show for Friday, May 7th, 2021. Today's show was called Return to Madawaska because that was a big topic on today's show. They called me. They wanted to see what progress I was making with Madawaska. And after the call, I will say I'm going in a complete 180 direction in which I was planning on doing.
How does it feel to be aborted for the first time?
It's okay. I mean,
it
was like I texted Steve afterwards. I was just like, damn, it doesn't feel great. I just said, damn.
I've been aborted twice, so it's...
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
It's not a...
Yeah, I mean...
We're survivors, though. Survivors.
Yeah, it was tough. I don't know if I survived this abortion. But it's... I guess I did, because as we heard
talking
at the end of the show, I will be in studio on Monday.
Oh, that's huge news. Breaking.
Producing the podcast. So that is exciting. I'm joined, as always. He wasn't able to make it last week. But Blind Owl, how you doing? Good, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be back.
Great to be back. What a nice long show we got today.
Oh, isn't it the best?
There's nothing better than, just refreshing your phone, seeing the shows up, and seeing it's 2 hours and 8 minutes, and it's just like a sense of relief.
I finished lunch. I was like, oh, what am I going to look forward to today? And then I was like, bam, 2 hours. Oh, yes, that'll get me through most of the day.
Yeah, I listened to all of it, except I can't listen to myself on the phone. I have to skip through those parts. It's just, I can't. It's just, it's. I know I probably should be able to listen to it, but it's just like I want to just strangle myself. Even when I'm getting praised, I still.
Don't you hate just how you sound?
Oh yeah, it's the worst. I know. Kirk has said this before. He hates. Yeah. He can't stand the sound of his own voice, and I'm with him. Not with him, but with
my voice is so much higher than I thought it was. I don't know why, but hey, I guess that's the way it is.
Harrison says he loves my call today. Well, thank you, Harrison.
It was a great call. Great call. Love Harrison.
But I think it might have been one of my longest calls ever. So let's just so we'll get to Madawaska and myself in a little bit. But so it started off, Jared. It's a Friday show. It's a Jared show.
Sure.
Jared had no really idea who Dr. Dan was or what Kirk was talking about.
He definitely listened to the episode, but he just had it on the back burner. He had it on the back burner. He didn't listen to the whole thing.
You think he listened to the episode?
Yeah, he just kind of threw it on, just be like, all right, I'm going to be on Friday. Might as well listen.
I think he didn't listen to any of it on Wednesday.
Oh, that's a hot take.
Well, because Kirk was like, he's like, well, everyone here has listened. I'm not saying Jared should have listened. He probably should have, but I know he's busy with baseball, and he's been a fucking hurricane when it comes to posting baseball clips on Twitter.
God, somebody hit the piss out of the ball. I'll tell you that. I don't know who it was, but Jared Carabas will find him.
That's right. So Kirk gave him a quick synopsis. Said, hey, Dr. Dan, held me down, and he would rip teeth out of my mouth. And Jared, at this point, this is how I know he didn't listen on Wednesday, because he started laughing. Yeah, I think at first he thought it was somewhat of a joke.
I think that's just when somebody tells you something, sometimes you don't know how to react, and he's like, I guess.
No,
he definitely didn't listen to it in detail. He just threw it on and was like, Dr. Dan, ha ha ha. But
yeah, there's no chance I would say that he made it. He listened to Wednesday's show. But some interesting things did come up from that. Kirk said, a bunch of people have reached out. People were texting him, emailing him, and all that jazz. Tom Shattuck, formerly of the Boston Herald,
the great Tom Shattuck, I've heard.
Which he reached out. He said he went through the exact same thing. And when he
he's good.
When he went to another dentist, he realized that not all dentists were, masochists, like evil people. So I did like it how Kirk said, between case pods, between season 1 and 2, they're going to do a 2-episode thing about Dr. Dan, which I 100% support. I think it's a great idea.
I put my detective hat on. I work in the area where Dr. Dan has been, and I put my detective hat on, and I asked around. No leads as of yet.
Well, according to Kirk, there's an entire private Facebook page where
I found that page, and
survivors have, just tell their stories on it. So I'm sure it is very interesting. there's no doubt this man was an absolute fucking monster.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have 1,000 people in a Facebook group talking about how how you traumatized them as a child without actually doing said things.
And think about it, like, that's the perfect crime. And I mean, not to rehash the Dr. Dan episode, but kids will say, "Oh, the dentist did this. The dentist, oh, that's just dentists. You know, that's how they work." You know,
Yeah.
and so it's the perfect crime. But anyway.
So my question to you, Blind Owl, is: do you think Jared should have listened more closely to Wednesday's episode to know what was going on?
I think so. I mean, it's just to be able to have a, just something to say. I mean, he was just kind of like dismissive. He was like, "Oh, Dr. Dan, yeah, that sucked." He was.
Yeah, I really don't think he knew much of that, but I think Kirk had a funny line today. He's like, "Yeah, it's fine when Jared comes and cries about baseball, but here I am talking about childhood trauma, and Jared just laughs at me."
Yeah,
that was a good zinger.
Although I do sympathize with Jared a little bit. When somebody tells you something awful, sometimes you just don't know how to react, and some people nervous laugh, and it's just it's
yeah. So I guess the next thing we should talk about is the new plans for Madawaska. So my plan was, you did not come up to Madawaska last year, did you?
I did not. I was not able to make it.
So the entire Saturday was spent ice fishing. There was breakfast, lunch, provided at Travis's house and all this other stuff. So I thought I should do a similar thing as to last year. But after that call, after listening to today's episode, I'm going to go with a different strategy of we're going to have like one of the parks in downtown Madawaska. We're going to have a big tent. There's going to be events throughout the day around the town, and I'm going to have a list of things for people to do if they want to go golfing, if they want to go see another park, if they want to go, bar hop. I do
all
plan
3 bars in the city.
Yeah, I do. There are 3 parks in Madawaska, which is actually quite interesting.
Because there's nothing else there, they might as well make it a park.
Yeah. So the events I have so far, which are in the early stages of, getting things done, are I want to do a red snapper hot dog eating contest.
Oh, sure.
And a 5K.
Ooh,
I think
all at the same time, because that would be tough. I would hope the 5K would go first.
Yeah, of course the 5K would go first. So I think that would be fun, something fun to do. I'm still there's a couple other things I want to have happen throughout the day and be available to people. But I think those 2 things are definitely going to happen.
I mean, the 5K, you may run into some trouble with, sporting events being held. With all the restrictions and all that.
I mean, we'll see. And then, like, obviously, not everyone's going to want to do the 5K or do stuff. But
if I'm there and I do a 5K, you may be scraping my dead body off a road somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be quite something, huh? So that's the plan right now.
I mean, that's better than your lawn games idea, which I'm a lawn games guy, but I'm a lawn games guy. But Kirk did make a good point. From breakfast till 7 o'clock or whenever the things happen, that's a long time to be in one spot.
Yeah, I mean, when Kirk brought that up, I did kind of realize how silly that sounded. But perhaps the lawn games will be for a barbecue or something. In
and did you say giant Yahtzee?
Yeah.
You have giant Yahtzee.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you meant Jenga when you said it. Nope. I'm like, did he mean Jenga? But you have like the score sheets and everything?
Yep.
I don't think I've ever thought somebody thought, oh, we just need this to be bigger.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but Minifans will have to wait for giant Yahtzee, I guess. And
come on, bring it anyway.
So
the only dice Blind Mike and I will be able to read.
Yeah. I mean, it's seeing impaired dice. So I got some things rolling today. I got a tent company. They gave me an estimate and everything like that. So I am still very excited.
Oh, it'll be great
to be planning this. I do think I'm going to do a good job, and God, I hope I do. Kirk did bring up a good point where he's like, well, has Justin even worked on the most important part of the Madawaska trip, which is, recognizing Kirk for, everything he's done for the town and like that. And
so I was thinking that as well.
Yes, I will.
You said they have three. They have 3 parks.
Yes.
Why don't they name one of them after Kirk?
Blind Owl, I'm already ahead of you on this.
Oh, wow.
Let's just say things are rolling in some sort of direction.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah, but he will be recognized. Let me make this clear. The show will not be recognized in Madawaska. It will be no gift, no key, no Kirk Minahan Show Road, no Kirk Minahan Show Park, no pond. It will be Kirk Minahan being recognized for his greatness in Madawaska.
Wow.
But I wanted to know, what did you take away from my phone call? Because I felt I was just getting outclassed by. When Kirk gets you on the ropes, where he just repeats something you said, but in that voice where he's like, "So you're telling people to go back to their hotel room?" I'm like, fuck, this has turned into something I did not want it to turn into.
I mean, it's you were. I got to give you some sympathy here. You were kind of obviously caught off guard. You didn't expect that, even though you probably should have.
Oh, I expected a call.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point. But it was in the preliminary stages, and they say you do it. It's just like anything. Somebody tells you to do something, and then you say, "Oh, here's what I did," and then you'll be like, "Well, I don't like that." It's like, "Well, you told me to do it." It's just like, "Okay, how would you like to do it?" And then it's
Yeah. So
it's just one of those things. It's, especially a perfectionist like Kirk, he just wants things done a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I will say the good thing about Madawaska is, especially in June, that sunset is late. Guess when the sun sets? Guess when the sun is supposed to set on June 12th?
Well, June 21st is the longest day of the year, so I'm going to say 9:42.
No, not that. Jesus. 8:30. 8:30. That's still pretty good, though.
That's good. I mean,
and
what is it here? It's like 8. The longest day, it's like almost 9, I think.
And I know, the sun rises also at 4 a.m. So,
that would be, me and Blind Mike will be in heaven.
So hopefully it is. The one bad thing I looked up is that there's 10 days of rain in June. So we're looking at a 33% shot. But I mean, that is something that, like, obviously no one can control. But
no, it's just, and if there's a tent, it's whatever, and
Yeah. So I don't know. We're gonna have a good time. Madawaska is good. Madawaska.
Good times will be had.
So, speaking of Madawaska, it doesn't sound like Jared is going to be able to make it. Sounds like he kind of had his epiphany. When Blind Mike had his epiphany about time zones.
What? Yes.
It seems like Jared had his epiphany today about the distances things take.
Maine is a surprisingly big state.
It is a surprisingly big state,
because I used to go up to Maine when I was a kid, and where I took 4 hours, and I'm right on the New Hampshire border, and it took us 4 hours to get up there, and I'm like, wow, this is and then people tell me, oh, we're only about halfway up. It's like, oh,
yep, oh yeah. So it doesn't sound like Jared's going to make it. Kirk has said Blind Mike will be there, so that's exciting. But will the newest made Minifan, Rico Bosco, be making an appearance in Madawaska?
That would be a power move.
That would be a very well thought out power move. Strengthen the alliance. I love Rico Bosco. He seems like he's in on the joke.
Yeah.
I think he respects Kirk. He understands that, him and Kirk are a power team, but I think he also understands that Kirk is kind of the alpha in said power team. I will say I wish they could have him on, because they would have had him on today if the dozen tournament was public. They 100% would have had him on. I don't know the results of the dozen, so for the people who are asking me or saying I know some sort of inside information, I do not want to know what the results of the dozen were. But
I don't get that instinct. This is stinking thinking, to use a Kirk term, in my opinion. Why are they not releasing it like day by day? Like, okay, today's one, tomorrow's the next one, the next one, the next one.
That's what they're doing starting next week.
Yeah, but that's stinking thinking. People, how are you going to get rid of the social media aspect, the immediate reactions, the drama, all that, by withholding the result? I don't know. It just seems especially today's day and age. It just seems so. I don't know.
Jesus rested for 3 days after he completed the accomplishment, and he was thrown up on the cross. So I think we should give Jeff D'Lo 3 days to to prepare the dozen for what an incredible act. I love it when Kirk was like, I mean, I like Jeff and everything, but Jesus Christ, I don't know. Did you see any of the videos going around on Twitter?
It was a little painful to watch. It's like,
it was very cringeworthy.
He made a trivia show like I like it. It was excellent. I'm a trivia guy, but like, come on, he's not reinventing the wheel. Like, he's not making deaf people hear. He made a trivia game.
I thought it was. I mean, I'm sure it's very well done. I'm sure it was very difficult to be put together, but
it'd be a pain in the ass to write all those questions. Oh my god!
Could you see after season 1 of The Case, Kirk goes to New York and everyone just stands in a corner and starts going, "Yay, Kirk!" and they're bringing him out, like a chocolate milkshake with a sparkler in it. And
it's like, Jesus Christ!
I don't know. I just found that to be quite funny.
Now, could they have been doing it almost ironically? Maybe, but
no, they weren't.
They weren't.
They 100% could have been, but if you see everything,
it was awful.
I mean, unless it was some deep irony.
That's deep, and
good on them.
Appreciate that, but it was just a lot of filleting of Jeff D'Lo for asking a few questions.
But no, I mean, I think he's done an incredible job. I actually use his when I'm not watching Star Wars Episode 3, I use his movingrankings.net to help me pick what movie to stream. It's
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, great film.
That's pretty much all I watch. So I mean,
just that movie on loop.
Pretty much. So there were a couple other things. There was the Joe Castiglione sound of him just dying in the booth, which Kirk is so right. Like, imagine you just went off like right now, you just started like dying, and I was just like, nope, gotta keep on doing the wrap-up show, instead of being like, hey, you okay, dude?
Like, no, it's an odd instinct, because even in everyday life, somebody starts coughing, it's just somebody has to say, oh, you good, you dying, like just say it like a normal, or even nowadays just say, oh, what do you got, the corona, Joe? Come on, make a joke out of it.
I think Kirk has such the right attitude too. Make a joke out of it, or just act like human beings. When Jared said that baseball radio broadcasts are supposed to be boring, that if that's the truth, then like Jesus Christ, are they like a dying industry?
Like, I get that you're not trying to blow up the world and be super entertaining, but it's one thing to be purposely just like telling you what's happening in a game and describing it word by word, but it's another thing to just completely ignore things that are happening right in front of you.
I mean, that's what I think. I don't know if you've ever listened. Like, I've listened to. I've never listened to a Red Sox game on the radio.
You never have?
I've listened. No, I mean, I'm not a Red Sox fan. I'm a Phillies fan. So it is interesting. But like, I've listened to Patriots games on the radio, and Zoe does an incredible job.
Oh, I hate Zoe. Hate him.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're moving on.
I'm a big Zoe guy.
You're a honk.
So I mean, I just think it's just funny to hear sound of just someone just dying, and the other person be like, oh, it's a 2-1 count now.
It is. So. I mean, it's almost more entertaining now because I listen to it ironically, but whereas they're serious people will be like, why isn't anyone saying anything? Like, Joe could be, he's 8,000 years old. He could be dying over there. Like, literally.
Yeah. You couldn't pay me enough to fucking
it's like the Tom Brenneman apology as he hits it. Oh, and there's a home run as he's doing his last broadcast.
That might be, if they did ever like a top 10 radio calls of all time, I truly think that might be number one. Because you just can't script that. The way I mean, that's how every single radio broadcast should be. You should just bring on someone to apologize, but while they're apologizing, they have to call the inning.
Just bring on murderers to talk about it. Just they have to call it. They have to call it.
Yeah. So I think Yeah, so that's just another reason why WEEI sucks. And that story was so interesting. I never knew this about that Jared was supposed to be involved in the Red Sox broadcast.
I could
But the
see that.
Oregon
They're trying to
player,
get the young. Yeah,
I could see that too. I didn't know that he was going to. I know he used to be on WEEI.
yeah. I mean, as far as Barstool personalities go, he's probably the safest, especially for the Red Sox. Like, okay, he loves the Red Sox. He'll just come on, talk about it, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But I also think he makes baseball fun. He makes it more of a. So I could see why WEEI would be like, oh, we'll give him a chance. But then apparently the Oregon player for the Boston Red Sox said no.
Do they still have that? I don't even know.
My thing is, who the fuck cares what the Oregon player at Red Sox games? Like, if you asked 1,000 people in Boston right now who are wearing Red Sox gear, what is the name of the Organ player? I bet
if you just ask them, do they have an organ player?
Yeah, and not just press a button up there, that plays organ sounds.
Yeah.
That's
what I thought it was. I'm like, they still have an organ player?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was just a funny story. I hope they end up bringing him on someday.
I hope he responds.
But it's something tells me he's not going to. He's
just a guess. Just a guess.
He's going to look up Kirk Minahan, Red Sox, and see some not so happy things.
Just gonna look up Kirk Minahan or ask his buddies over at WEEI. No, you can't go on there.
Yeah. So I did like hearing. There was a couple other people that the show called today. We'll get to the calls in a second. But I do like Rick and Stacy. Especially I talked to Rick earlier this morning. Rick's wife is or fiance is a very, very nice person.
Wow, that's good. Is she the one that answered the phone? What was her name? Oh, shit.
Kim? No.
Kim, thank you.
It was Kim?
Yes.
Yeah. Kim and Stacy. I mean, Stacy seemed a little like, what are you doing coming up here in June?
It seemed a little, like, oh, you're coming up here?
Oh, shit. Like, it makes you think, like, are they all like robots who like just, like, what the fuck's going on there?
Like Jared said, I did appreciate her Canadian accent, though.
Oh, she has the best Canadian accent. I just remember when she said, when Kirk was like, so who am I so who's talking right now? And she said, me and you. But they thought she said Manu or something like that. And,
yes.
And if you go back and listen to that episode, it's funny because Steve just goes, "Oh yeah, Manu. It's a French Canadian name. It's
he just kind of went for it. He was like,
looks like it's Manu, but it's pronounced Manu." And then in Madawaska, she was like, "No, I said me and you." And it was like, oh, that was funny. So hopefully,
that makes a little bit of sense.
Hopefully, she's able to make it to the Madawaska event. Actually, she can't. Obviously, because her son is. She said her son's graduating, and so is Kim. Kim's son is also graduating. It seems like everyone's.
Think they know each other?
Yeah, it seems like everyone up there, has a kid who's class of 2021. So
I mean, they all probably just know each other, and I mean, there's probably what'd they say, 500 kids at the whole school. So it's like, serious.
Yeah, I mean, I had a graduating class. I had a small graduating class. I think I had a graduating class like 60.
Really? Wait,
yeah.
Wow.
I went to a charter school in Foxborough.
Oh, charter school kids. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. I hate school choice.
I was just about 200, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think.
But it's but yeah, no, so I'm looking forward to seeing them again. We'll see if Stacy's stardom rises a little bit. I will say I was kind of on Steve's side when he was like, I think Stacy kind of was in it for herself at the end there a little bit. She was kind of like,
a little bit of that.
Look at me, and she kind of went away from the world. She did say though that she's been following along. She has heard of the case before and all this other fun stuff. So it does sound like
she checks into Twitter once every month or so, and you can figure that out.
Yeah. So
it seemed a little, yeah.
So, I don't know about you. Have you ever dealt drugs before?
I can't confirm or deny.
Okay, well, I was going to, but everyone then said, "No, Justin, you need to go on and do bigger and better things in your life." That Stephen A. Smith sound was so
you were prevented by the local drug dealers, right?
Just the fact that it's like, did they said, if I ever see you again, I'll kick your ass to blah, blah, blah. So you're telling me these drug dealers had no clue who you were. You just went up to them and said, I want to start dealing drugs. They said, no, I'll kick your ass if you ever come back here.
I think, the pieces of that story, the way he framed it probably didn't happen. I could see, like, if he knew somebody and they're like, no, don't get involved in this. It's a bad world. You don't want to be.
Yeah.
He would have had to known them, though. He kind of made it seem like he didn't know them.
I mean, it's like, Steven, you don't have to, like, I don't know if he's making it up or whatever, but it's like, he actually legitimately has, like, a half-decent backstory, if you look at it. Like, he went unpaid straight out of college for, like, 5 years, and then he worked his way up at ESPN. But it's like, why are you doing this thing where you have to say, like, oh, I was going to deal drugs one day, but the drug dealers told me, no. Wouldn't it be funny if instead of telling him no, they actually just said, get the fuck off my turf? Or something like that.
The fuck off. And if anybody, if you're an idiot kid,
if I see you again, I'll break your legs.
Yeah. And you say that, it's like, okay, I'm probably not going to sell drugs. This sounds awful. Why didn't he just say that? Like, that's a reasonable story too.
I know Stephen A. and Kirk have gone back and forth before, especially during the WEEI days.
The Floyd Mayweather thing.
Yes, which, I mean, is pumping back up. I don't know if you saw, there was the talk of Barstool yesterday, the whole Floyd Mayweather, Jake Paul, I got your hat thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure that talk is only going to, I mean, it's funny, actually, if you look on Twitter, you have Kevin Clancy who's tweeting out, if you think that the Paul brothers are worse humans than Floyd Mayweather, you are, like, messed up. I think Kirk retweeted it.
Yes.
And then you have Roan and Caleb. And they're the ones who were interviewing Floyd Mayweather right after this happened. So he's
just the worst person. Like, he's just, and nobody cares. It's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that will be brought up again sometime in the future. Mm. But dude, the calls today were, like, just depressing.
When the first one came in, I was listening to it and I'm like, whoa. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready for someone's parents to have Alzheimer's and, FMLA talk. And I'm like, what the?
I was just like, oh, Jesus. I was waiting for the first 30 seconds. I was waiting for the punchline.
It never came.
But it was just never coming. And I was like, oh, I mean, my heart goes out to the guy.
That's a tough situation. I can't imagine being in it. But I'm not sure the Kirk Minahan show was the place to make that phone call. But he did it. And I think Kirk handled it well. I'll say that.
I think the Kirk Minahan show is the right place to make that phone call. I mean, it is a comedy podcast, and there are, callers who call in, which I 100% think that Orville Redenbacher was Kevin from Bristol.
That was Kevin from Bristol. My voice detection skills.
Yes, because when Kirk started going, like, "What's the area code, Steve? Yeah. What's the area code?"
And he when he would laugh, you could tell it was him.
Yes, I mean, there are some comedy. It is mostly a comedy podcast, but it is also, I'd say, a subsection of mental health. And, this guy knows Kirk has been through a lot, so he's just asking for his advice on something. And I think Kirk gave pretty deep advice. At first, I thought, I don't know why I thought this. I thought Kirk was going to go, like, the joking route or something. But when he was like, your dad who has Alzheimer's, what's his favorite movie? You can watch that movie for the first time every single day. I was like, damn.
That actually made me think, like, thankfully I've never had anyone that dealt with Alzheimer's before, but I've worked with some students who, don't remember what happened the day before. And, you can have the same conversations and you can make their day every day by saying something they truly like.
It was deep when he's like, just watch that movie every day, and he gets to watch it for the first time. And I was like, holy shit.
That was deep.
That hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the other calls today, I mean, there were just some flat out just bad ones. The Kirk son one was a little strange. He didn't play along enough was the thing. Kirk was going for it, but the other guy was just like, no, I won't do that. It's like, oh my God. It's like, dude, play along a little bit. You're calling in asking to be Kirk's son. Yeah. Like, can you please,
go with the game.
I did like the game at the end. Tim McCann played though.
That was fun.
Jared.
I got them right.
Yeah, so did I. It's just funny just to be like, oh, who did Kirk say this about? Jared or Calvin? But the last thing I wanted to talk about is Jared's, like, out of the trivia world now. He just has to be.
Yeah, I mean, that was that was as a
When
teacher, I know the classic, I don't want to do this.
Well, when he was like, I don't know yet, it's like, okay, Jared,
You're done.
you made your choice, and like we can't keep doing this fucking Brett Favre thing. You're coming in and out of retirement. It's like either you're on the team or you're not. So I think Rico Bosco is a strong number 1 or number 3 on the team.
I mean, where do you check in there, Justin? You've got to make the list here somewhere, right?
I think I'm the backup if like Rico is,
hit by a train somewhere?
Or? Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I was the backup for when they thought Jared wasn't going to able to make it in. So
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I like scouting, and I think the teams are good. So I like the team where it is now. I think Rico knows way more about sports than I do.
He did, and I honestly think it may. I know Jared's part of the show and everything. It may have been addition. It was a good addition because Rico will know more. Yes. 1, more recent stuff. 2, more sports, not just baseball.
Yes, I mean it is like a quarter of the questions on there are always basketball, hockey, football, baseball. So it really is good to have like someone who's like in the sports world.
Yeah, because Steve isn't. I mean, or Steve is. Who knows? He could be lying to us all.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
His attitude towards the end was a little salty. I was like, all right, Steve.
I think Steve's going through not a tough work time. I think he's very stressed.
I think he's got a lot. He's got a lot on his plate, and I think he's just getting. When you're tired and when you're burnt out, it's like, okay, you need something, and he just wasn't feeling it today.
I just think he just needs to go. Like Kirk said, take 2 months off if need be.
Yeah.
Because I just think he's just facing burnout from what the case has been putting on his back. So
definitely,
hopefully, Steve takes a nice long break after this, and everything works out. But speaking of Steve taking a break, it was news to me. I found out the same way everyone else found out on the podcast when Kirk says Justin. True, whatever the fuck his name is.
He called you Hernandez.
yeah, Justin Hernandez will be producing the show on Monday, so I'm looking forward to that. I am anxious about it. I'm probably going to be at the studio at like 6 a.m. making sure everything is fine.
Good move.
Might even clean the toilet beforehand just to get the juices flowing.
Do you have a gun?
Do I have a gun? I'm not allowed to legally carry a gun. So no,
I would assume I'm not either. So I mean,
you probably aren't. Kirk isn't.
Nope.
I mean,
Mike
Steve
probably isn't.
Mike probably isn't.
So you might need some sort of protection, as you heard.
Jared might have some sort of gun.
Well, he likes baseball. Nobody with that low of an IQ can't be allowed to hold a gun.
He might be eligible to get a gun, but I don't think so. I don't think he has ever been admitted for mental health before. I know that's that once you get admitted for mental health, you no longer Second Amendment. Nope. So
see, I could fight that. I haven't been admitted for anything. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then they go, oh yeah, okay, and then
bam,
like just
shoot the wrong person.
Just fill out this paperwork, and you're like, what paperwork? I'm blind.
Can I have somebody sign for me? I can't.
Yes, do you have this in Braille, good sir? I mean, Jesus.
They have to provide it according to ADA.
Yeah. So that's it. Anything else from today's show you thought we missed? Or
no, I mean it's good to see the 2 hours back, and it's good to see. I enjoyed Ziggy's call for how bad it was. Other than that, it was.
Yeah, that was the thing. So I was thinking now there's this thing called Twitter Spaces where it's kind of like Clubhouse on Twitter where it's just kind of like a big voice chat, but like whoever's running it can choose who talks at a certain time.
Sure.
So I was thinking about doing like somewhat of like a KMS pre-show thing where we talk about what we think's going to be talked about in the show, and I don't know, it might just be something stupid or you could try to do something, but
give it a shot. What do you got to lose?
Exactly. So tell us what's been on Blind Owl Blogs recently.
Well, we've been on a bit of a hiatus because, I have to do with wedding nonsense, and but yeah, it's annoying. But thankfully, Tony Cass has been prolific writing. I've got a few to write from him, but we I kind of write them as I go, and I've got a few to post from Tony that from when I was at a wedding shower, which I don't even know what that was. But just visit Blind Owl Blogs and KMS.com, and we've got all what you need to see.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone who is listening. And thank you to Blind Owl. Thank you to Steve Robinson. Thank you to Kirk Minahan. And I will talk to you guys on Monday.